Okay, good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for coming along to the East Grinstead Town Council Planning Committee of the 27th of November. I've already spoken to the councillors that aren't on the committee if they're looking to say something, so we know the procedure about that. So I've put a little tick by that. There is also our first element of the meeting is public participation, where we allow two representatives to speak against the applications and two for the applications. If anyone else is looking to speak, we've only got two against for the Stoneleigh application and one for the Imberhorn farm. If there is anybody else, if they could let me know. No, okay, that's good. Hello, John. We are 2 minutes for each applicant, for each person. So if I was going to start with Mr. Ashdown, who you're speaking against the Stoneleigh application. Thank you. You can start.
Michael Ashdown of the Cuban. We are very much opposed to this development for the following reasons. One, the proposed access. No vehicle right of way exists to the plot over beyond our private track. The private track is too narrow at 2.6 metres for commercial vehicles. The track runs along our eastern boundary on which we have a substantially built summer house. This is the narrowest point of the track. The proposed entry to the site is behind our summer house, which has a patio to the north. Traffic moving along the track and around our summer house just 2 metres away will result in unwanted fumes, noise and destroy our privacy and tranquility. Two, it is seriously overbearing and will result in loss of outlook. The Cuban and the Orkham bungalows sit at a level 5 feet below the proposed building plot. Clearly it will tower over our property, blocking our outlook and light from the south. In particular, the light to our living room at the attic window. Three, flood risk. At times of heavy rain, water escapes from the proposed site over our land, resulting in flooding to our plot. The proposed development will exacerbate this problem, particularly with extreme weather we now see. Four, biodiversity. The site is in effect an extension of Eastcourt Park. The development would form a block to free movement of wildlife. The application ignores the detrimental impact on the ancient yew in the west boundary of Fife. The roots extending over the site will be torn up in the excavation process. And loss of such an ancient tree would be detrimental to the character of the area. In conclusion, the previous application was refused, among other things, because the site was not considered suitable for residential development. Nothing has changed. It is highly detrimental to the natural environment and amenity of existing residents. We ask that permission be declined.
Thank you very much. May I just clarify your house, your address?
At the Cuban, K-U-D-D-E-N.
Thank you.
Cranston Road.
Thank you very much. And I believe Mrs. Mayor is wanting to say, speak for 2 minutes as well.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Bernie Mark and I live at Stoneleigh Hall. And I'm here to strongly object to the second application at Stoneleigh West, which is to build a 3-bedroom bungalow in what's essentially a garden at Stoneleigh West. This plot is totally encircled by other properties, and both I and my neighbours believe this would be a huge overdevelopment. The new application appears quite similar to the last one, the main change being the build has moved nearer to my property. It's difficult to tell what they're proposing as the information is scant with no details other than an outline. However, my reasons for objecting remain the same. Stoneleigh is a small enclave of historic buildings in a peaceful, tranquil setting in the middle of East Grinstead, which would be blighted by the introduction of a new build that is not in keeping with the surrounding buildings, and the aesthetic would be lost for future generations forever. The agent states that the site is accessed via private track of Cranston Road, which is shared with Trifan. This is incorrect. There is no access to the plot from Cranston Road. The proposed access is my drive, which only leads to Stoneleigh Hall, and has been maintained by myself and the previous owner for in excess of 45 years. Trifan have their own entrance. There are 2 entrances to Stoneleigh West, College Lane and Sandy Lane, but all 3 access points are not particularly suitable for the heavy vehicles that would be required for such a build. The proposed build would impact adversely on my outlook and our neighbours, especially the Cruden of Yorkham. The noise and disruption of this project would cause huge disturbance on a daily basis and much distress to us and all the other residents. Furthermore, if the project were to go ahead, it would cause problems not only for us accessing our own property at times, but also our children and visitors and the emergency services. This area is a haven for birds and wildlife. Squirrels, we now have a rare white squirrel, foxes and badgers, which we all enjoy in this unique setting. This would all be disrupted whilst building works were ongoing, further reducing their habitat by all the disruption in the introduction of a huge new build and all that that entails. I would like to add in conclusion that the combined design and access planning statement from Beacon Hill contains rather a lot of greenwashing, and many of the regulations quoted are not actually relevant in this instance. Thank you all for your time.
Thank you very much. Very much appreciated. And last resident, Mr. Shelley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good evening, councillors. I'm Bob Shelley, and my questions in respect of application 2699, the Welbeck Strategic Land application. I've lived in the Indoor neighbourhood for over 40 years. Unsurprisingly, and like many others, I've been following the progress of this application almost since its inception. My role locally is as chair of Islington Sports Council. I work closely with our sports clubs, organisations and schools, continuing to develop our town's excellent sport and physical activity track record. In the role, I also liaise regularly with the Town Council. I fully support the Council's principal position in respect of this application, that agreement to implementing satisfactory and long overdue traffic improvements must be a prerequisite to development going ahead. However, my unapologetic particular focus in my role is on the excellent opportunities it could provide in our community for local sports activities and our young people. Does the Town Council recognise and accept that this development will bring significant and welcome benefit to our community in the form of both the Import Store Unification project and the associated sports facilities that form part of it? Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bob. Very much appreciated. Thanks, stuff. We can't answer those questions in the meeting, but thank you for posing them, and we appreciate your comments, and also for the Stoney application as well. Thank you very much. So, moving on to the main agenda. Yeah. Oh, sorry. Did you want to say anything at all? Or? No. That's fine. No problem. Thank you for joining us. Okay. How do we get the presentation?
Share screen. That's it. Go and then click on share. There you go. Click on the that's it, your little doodle, and you'll have you.
Right. Okay, item number 1. Apologies for absence and substitutions. I think we're all here. Got a full house. Fantastic. Good stuff. Item number 2 is to receive the minutes of the meetings held on the 6th of November 2023. Can I propose those, please?
Second that, Chair.
Thank you very much. All those in favour of approving those minutes? Thank you very much. Item number 3 is to receive members' declarations of interest. Has anybody got any? Mr. Councillor Peacock.
I'm a Mid-Sussex District Councillor and member of the District Planning Committee, and reserve the right to change my opinion on any application that comes forward at a later date, subject to new information, reports, analyses, etc.
Thank you. Councillor Whittaker.
Same for me, please.
Ditto. Councillor Mrs Mockford.
Thank you. I'd like to declare that I am a Mid Sussex District Councillor and I sit on the licensing committee and I share the views of the others.
Thank you very much. That's great stuff. Item number 4, Chair's announcements, just a very simple one actually. The Vice Chair and myself attended some online training from NELC last week. Pleased to know we'll be forwarding some details and notes of that in due course. There's not really anything else that we can mention at the moment. Apart from it was
Interesting. Insightful.
insightful, yes. So let's just go straight to item number 5 is the licensing application for LI 231684 Aldi stores, London Road, East Grinstead. Changes to the internal layout. Normally we would just recommend that this goes straight to the licensing officer. I have a second for that. All those in favour? Thank you very much. And a lot of tree applications this week. A lot of trees. And again, we would probably normally put these on block to the tree officer. But before we go to the vote, would anybody like to make any comments? Councillor Mrs Mockford.
It's absolutely fine. It just always makes me chuckle when you get a hazel which has been copies.
Yes. Yeah.
Why is there a TPO on a hazel?
So all those in favour? Oh, sorry, Councillor.
Sorry, just one thing. It's good to see St Margaret's loop of railway pathway to get to grips with some of the trees down there.
Yes,
So,
I believe there's quite a lot of ash dieback down there. I think they're trying to get to grips with excellent stuff. So proposal there to put it on, request the approval to the tree officers for seconds.
Second.
Thank you very much. All those in favour? Great, thank you very much. Okay. So, our first item on the agenda is DM 232877 Stoneleigh West, College Lane. It's a proposed new single-storey 3-bed dwelling with new access and parking amenity for 2 cars. This is the second application for this property. We have two objections on the portal, and obviously we've had 2 objections this evening. I thought I'd just put the comments that we made just from a contextual perspective for us all previously from the previous application. East Grinstead Town Council recommended refusal based on EG3, DP26, unneighbourly, overbearing, design, you name it, it probably ticked all of the boxes. And I've also included the Mid Sussex comments as well, which I thought they were quite relevant to the plan. In terms of the location, so we've got, I've got mine. Sorry, folks. Cranston Road is here. They're proposing this access road here, which is not an access road. And this is the plots area here. You've got Sandy Lane, which is across here, if you know where that is. Proposed location within that plot is here now. This is what it was beforehand, just to give you an idea. And it was refused because of the location with regards to the boundary wall as one of the elements that Mid Sussex came back to us with. And this is what we've got on the portal at the moment, which I have to say is disappointing. If you look at what was previously put to us, and then the architect's 10-year-old has got hold of his computer and put together a little composition there. This is Town North. We've got Councillor Gibbs with us. Is it yours? Do you want to take it away? What are your thoughts? Tell me where you want to go, and then I'll take it.
I don't know how I can follow on from that. Yeah, this has been discussed before, albeit before my time. So some of the points I'm going to make might resonate with the previous application. So it might be starting with design then. That's what we left off with the chair. So Yeah, let's say no significant improvement in design, and it doesn't appear to be in keeping with the nearby properties, and there is an infringement on the privacy of nearby properties, both of which contradicts the EG3 and EG26 in the neighbourhood plan and district plan respectively. There's a substantial concern about the drainage issue, which would appear to be intrinsic with the land itself, and there doesn't seem to be any particular movement on improving that. Maybe it's not possible. Obviously that's a big issue which contravenes on DP 41 of the district plan, and yeah, I don't see any substantial improvement from the first application really, so I would be recommending refusal for this one, but happy to look to the committee and discuss.
Okay, thank you very much.
very much.
Very well put. So we have a proposal for refusal. Can I have a second? Thanks, Vice Chair. So that's been seconded. Would anybody else like to raise any more comments? Vice Chair.
So I'm going to just point out the one positive thing here, of which it is only one, which is the sustainability. So the solar panels, the heat pump, and the recycling of water. So I would sort of say that that is a positive. Everything else, I think, was completely inadequate for putting forward a planning application. No elevations, no details of material used, nothing around the trees being removed. There was literally a scant detail. I do wonder whether they accidentally submitted it, because it does appear to be a step backwards from the prior application. So yeah, I'd wholeheartedly agree with my fellow councillor, Councillor Gibbs there on recommending for refusal.
Thank you. Would anybody else like to mention it?
That's the
Councillor Mrs. McCall?
access.
Yep.
We haven't got it. How are they going to build it?
No, exactly. Yeah, I think that's they're all very valid points. And I think, you know, the sort of weighted arguments about the overbearing and loss of outlook and the flooding aspect of it all, and the big impact on all of the neighbours, I think are all extremely relevant. And I can't really see any difference in terms of what we're proposing in terms of the refusal and wording compared to what it was before. So apart from them moving the location of the building, I think it's an appalling demonstration of design, really. So yeah, DP26 EG3 and also DP21 as well, which was the transport access to it. So we have a proposal for refusal of put it to the vote now. All those in favour? Thank you very much. So that's all done. Great stuff. Thank you very much. Folks, if you wanted to leave, you're absolutely more than welcome to, unless you would like to stay for the rest of the meeting.
No, thank you.
Thank you for coming along. That's very, very appreciative. Thank you. That's great. Cheerio.
Bye-bye.
Okay, now we've got next on the list is DM 232699, land south and west of Imblehorn, Upper School, Imblehorn Lane, allocated site SA20. It's a hybrid planning application seeking outline planning permission for a mixed-use development comprising up to 550 dwellings of use class C3, a care village of up to 150 dwellings, use class 2, land for a 2-form entry primary school, including early years provision and special needs education provision, mixed use neighbourhood centre, allotments, landscaping and sustainable urban drainage, whatever that means. Sorry, I've just added that because I think it's just developer speak. And item number 2 is a full planning permission for playing fields, new sports pavilion, a running track associated with Imblehorn Secondary School, a suitable alternative natural green space, SANG with associated car park, access from Imblehorn Lane, internal road to the SANG, and associated landscaping and infrastructure. Now, as we all congregated here, we had 57 objections on the Mid Sussex District Planning Portal, all relating to various things, infrastructure, GP surgeries, dentists, roads, access, countryside, etc. Obviously, the district plan does take precedence over the neighbourhood plan, but just to add another level of context to everybody, there is EGNP SS8, which refers to the site where it supports open space, SANGs and allotments. Some of this are in the application. However, then the neighbourhood plan is obviously trumped by the district plan and the site allocation policy, which allocates this site. So as our policy won't prevail, but we have also put together, and I thought I'd just read the planning policy statement to everybody prior to getting started, if you don't mind, with regards to those SA19 and SA20. So East Grinstead Town Council fully supports the position of Surrey County Council Highways Department as set out in its letter to Mid Sussex District Council on the 24th of January 2022. Specifically, this requires Mid Sussex District Council to issue a Grampian precedent condition for SA19 and 20, such that any future planning consent be granted for either or both of these allocated sites. Then Mid Sussex District Council guarantee that S106 money S106/278 legal agreements will be executed prior to consent to upgrade the A22, A264 Star Road junction to provide full mitigation for the existing overcapacity of this junction and mitigation to negate increased capacity caused by the extra 775 dwellings proposed, which this work to be completed prior to the first housing occupations on either site mentioned above, thus requiring Mid Sussex District Council as the planning authority to work in agreement with Surrey, Tandridge and West Sussex to become the lead authority in securing and delivering this key infrastructure work. So that's what the policy is as a town council and this committee. We'll just put my glasses on. So the way that I've put the presentation together for you all is in two parts, but we will take a decision as one application. Okay. So the outline application details are for the main development, the care village, school, local centre and allotments. There is not much detail with regards to the main development. And as it's an outline application, I don't really want to get into the nitty gritty of that development, but it's just really to go through what there is, and so that we've got a foundation to lay down with this particular application. So it's 550 homes, 30% of affordable housing, which is 165. A care community providing at least 142 housing units for older people, a 400-metre floodlit running track, sports pitches and pavilion for Imberhorn School, 38.5 hectare strategic SANG as a country park open to the public, a neighbourhood centre suitable for the provision of shops and other services, land for a 2-form entry primary school with early years and special education needs provision, an informal open space, allotments and equipped children's play space. So that's the proposal for the whole site. This outline permission as well, I thought I'd just include what we've got here in terms of the construction programs and phases of where they're going to be delivered. So this is looking to be getting the target planning permission for Q1 next year, starting work Q2 of next year, and then that's going to lead through to 2032, so 8 years roughly from start to finish. One of the intentions behind the proposal is to provide enough facilities on site to create a genuinely sustainable community, reducing the need for short distance car journeys to and from the site. As well as the new sports facilities, you've got the neighbourhood centre and the SANG, and 12 hectares of incidental open space are proposed throughout the residential areas as well, and green corridors linking the homes to the Gullidge and Worthway trails and the country park. So we've got I've detailed it on another map within the full application for the play space. So we've got the Care Village here, and you've got Imberhorn Lane is that road there going through there, and the entrance, the new entrance that they're proposing is here, and Bluebell Close is here, and the Worthway Bridge is here. It goes over there. So that's just to give you an idea. You've also got the a design study plan, just to give you some context of how big the development is. And across this corridor here, which is this bit here, that's the Crawley Down Road. What else? I highlighted the new development. So if you go on Google Maps, none of the new houses on this in this Crawley Down Road are on there. So that whole band that's highlighted, this is the 200 homes of SA19 here, and those are all of the additional infill homes that are already being built. So that's just to give you an idea there. And you've got the Imberhorn Industrial Estate here. This is the Sang. You've got the neighbourhood centre here. The school is in yellow there, and these are the playing pitches and the running track and the cricket and football pitches here. So we'll just go back here. So the outline application is for the land. If you bear with me just a moment, I just need to check. Yeah, so I've kept, so what I've done is I've put the access points and all of the junction information in this particular section of the presentation because I thought it was more relevant to this side. So this is just to give you all an idea of what they're proposing for the new junction at Heathcote Drive and Imberhorn Lane. So it's widening that road considerably, and they're also going to be looking to put traffic lights here as well. So that's one element of it, of that. And this is really just from they're trying to obviously get across that their congestion is an issue, and these are their proposed measures, which, according to the developer's modelling, would be sufficient. Imberhorn and the A22 junction is again widening that road into two lanes, coming down towards the Crown Plaza northbound, and I believe they're looking to increase the 2 lanes northbound north of the junction as well. So that's that element of it, and then also this is the Crown Plaza and the A264 junction here too. So you can just see what they're looking to do. They're looking to extend the lane by 100 metres, so it begins just after the junction with Firs Lane, all the way down to Standen Close, and then further on to the Felbridge junction. So that's the access, junction points within the application. This is an artist's impression, guys. Is the only thing available what it could look like from the neighbourhood centre, which is that dark pink area here. The primary school is there. I'm not sure if I can zoom in. Town Clerk, can I do that?
You can do that. I was going to
Oh, there we go. Yeah. So you've got the neighbourhood centre here. The school is in yellow. Play area here. Allotments are in that corner. Care home, as I've said. The proposed entrance on this up here by Bluebell Close, and that's Imberhorn Lane that goes all the way down there, and a new entrance for cycling and walking into the development from here. That's Imberhorn School and the proposed sports pitches and sports hall here, and you've got the Sang area here. Worthways here. Let's just, I think I'm getting the hang of this now. So that's the outline application. And I'll just talk through what we've got in terms of the full application details. So this includes playing fields, sports fields, SANG, access to the SANG and associated landscape and infrastructure. So we've got in a bit more detail here, the access up towards where the care home is proposed by Bluebell Close. And this is their proposed design for the new access. So Imberhorn Lane, coming up Imberhorn Lane, past the Oaks, into this junction and roundabout. And then you've got down here, you've got the single lane bridge over Worth Way, and then the two access points into the development. So that is that. This is the proposed pedestrian and cycle link into the development from Imberhorn School and Imberhorn Lane. So it goes straight in. It's quite good. Now, originally, just to add a bit of more context as to what Vice Chair was talking about earlier this morning, originally the main entrance to the development was here. That's now moved up down here. So just to, they've kept an entrance, but it's really for cycling and walking along there. And that's, so this Imberhorn, this is Heathcote Drive, and the traffic lights and wider wider junction are going to be proposed there. Yes, so this is the SANG area, just to give you an idea of the size of the space. It's a substantial piece of land actually that they're proposing, with quite a lot of landscaping and trees and things on there. And then moving on to the sports facilities, it's a 6-lane, 400-metre floodlit running track, sports pavilion providing the changing rooms and showers and toilets, bleacher seating overlooking the running track as well, and a 22-space car park. Although I've got a query on that, Vice, maybe you can, is it 22 or is it 40? I can't remember.
Well, I think it's 40, just I think their documentation is updating in one of the spaces. So I think it has been increased to 40, but not all the documentation. But again, 40 with 2 coach bays, I would still argue is on the tight side.
Yeah.
If you have concurrent usage of both facilities, maybe for one facility at one time, but I would argue that
one event
at a time, but both being used at the same time, I think you would struggle, and therefore where would people park and what would that look like?
So we've got sports pitches for football, rugby, cricket. So there's a summer and winter element to that, which I'll show you in a moment. And this is just a sort of a guide, an artist's impression of what it looks like in situ. So we've got a summer layout on the left, so running track and cricket here, and a winter running track, and then football or hockey and other things listed there. And that is the proposal. So we're going to hand it over to Councillor Whitaker. And if there's any, if you want me to go back to any of those slides, then please let me know and I'll whiz through and get them so that people can.
Thank you, Chairman. Thank you for an excellent presentation. Very comprehensive. All the notes I've made, I don't need to read. So thank you very much. I'd just like to start by giving some context background. This town council have known about the site since around about 2014, when we were planning our neighbourhood plan and progressing that document, which I was integrally involved with the town clerk and others at the time, and our planning consultant. So that's 9 years ago. So since then, the applicant has briefed the town council approximately twice a year on each year, with updates on the progress or not of this particular scheme. So what we have before you now effectively is a result of 9 years worth of work. So, you know, for a strategic site, that's quite a long time. It is, our neighbourhood plan was adopted exactly in November 2016, by a substantial majority. Now, within our neighbourhood plan, this site is included, and you've already mentioned it. Thank you very much in your introduction. Under policy SS8, which includes potential for a sound and an allotment, and also playing fields. So we do have an adopted policy, and these proposals effectively, in my opinion, comply with those policies. We also have a policy in our neighbourhood plan of SS3, and this is something that you touched upon, but not many members of the public are aware. Imberhorn School has a dedicated internal policy of school unification of the campuses at Windmill Lane and at Imberhorn Lane. So they want to unify the whole school at the Imberhorn Lane campus. So that is backed by the school, the governors, the head, and West Sussex County Council. And that the County Council came to the Town Council in 2014 when we were drafting our neighbourhood plan, said, could you put this policy in your neighbourhood plan, which we did. It was adopted, went through examination, and that policy still stands. It's SS3. Okay, so it is relevant. So the proposals here for the new playing pitches in the dark green, as you've identified, do free up what is the land of the current playing fields at Imberhorn Lane School. And if this proposal is carried out, then technically new school buildings could be erected on the old school playing fields to re-provide the provision of the school which is currently now at Windmill Lane. So that's just really important to understand the strategic planning of the school unification project, which is a big objective of the County Council. And that's been in gestation, as I say, for 9 years since 2014, and it's still running. So by and large, this strategic approach complies and really succeeds with the objectives of the school. So it's just important to understand context, background. You've already said it is an allocated site from Mid Sussex District Council for housing. That was done in the site allocation development plan document that was adopted in 2022, went through the full examination. Won't go into the details of that, but it is an allocated housing site. So it does set a precedent for housing. The site offers a lot in terms of infrastructure upgrades, as you've touched on. Superb, I would almost say exemplar sports facilities. And thank you to Mr. Shelley for mentioning that. And it's directly relevant that he is here this evening because as I know that he has worked hand in glove with the Town Council for the last 10 years to improve sports throughout the town, and that body does an exceptional job. So these sports facilities will be for the school, but for public use as well. So, you know, fantastic facilities. The same Country Park, clearly, the allotments, which the Town Council have been lobbying for 9 or 10 years as part of, and included in our neighbourhood plan. The potential school site for the new primary school, you know, that's the land provision, not the financing of it per se, but the land provision which has been applied, and a community building. And we're hoping that there was some dialogue, we understand from Welbeck, with potentially a doctor's surgery or a pharmacy or some sort of medical use building for that community building site. I haven't got any further details of that at the moment, but clearly given the GP situation in the town, with modality, etc., you know, that's a key infrastructure part. It also could provide 165 affordable housing, you know, which is 30%, which is policy compliant from the Mid Sussex, and that's in the allocation document. So that's directly relevant. That's a huge benefit. Some observations on the layout. There's one access and egress point. But the position of that has changed, as you quite rightly said. It's now effectively at the top of the hill, right opposite the entrance to Bluebell Close and Otterbourne, right at the top of the hill. So those familiar, you come up the hill, it's a steep hill, and it plateaus out at the top, and then you're now going to be met with a very large roundabout, which, in safety terms, I do have concerns about. I do think the roundabout solution, whilst I'm a fan of roundabouts compared to traffic light junctions, the position of this is completely untenable to Bluebell Close and Otterbourne. There's the land available to the applicant to move that roundabout back a long way, to take it sort of out of the mainstream, and to create, if it is consented, to create a sort of a landscape corridor on what is effectively the old Imberhorn Lane, to act as a buffer between that roundabout and Bluebell, and you know, to improve it. They've got the land to do it, they haven't done it, so I'm very concerned about that. The services upgrade, if you read it, the plan here is for all the housing to be all electric. Now, there's a utilities report in it. The upgrades to all of the services in the whole of the network area, there's going to be 2 miles of new high voltage cable required and more substations, 1 mile of new water main, almost certainly new and upgraded valves, which are a huge and substantial amount and do very disruptive amount of work. That's not directly planning consideration, but as part of the plans, that will transpire. You've correctly highlighted that, you know, the traffic and infrastructure, and read out the town council policy statement that was adopted just over a year ago, and that policy, as far as I'm concerned, is absolutely fundamental to this town council. I've been lobbying as a district councillor, the district council, for over a year, probably close to 2 years, as Councillor Gibson will know, and other district councillors. Been trying to liaise with the senior officers, not just planning officers, but the assistant chief exec, and in certain cases the chief exec, and effectively in my opinion, no progress has been made to that. Very recently, there's been a working group across authority that's been set up, and Councillor Gibson might elaborate a bit more on that. They've recently had their first meeting. Frankly, in my opinion, it's Mid Sussex kicking the can down the road on this. We've had 10 years of procrastination, 10 years of Section 106 highways contributions in 106, all gone into a pot. No upgrades to the Star Junction or effectively in one lane. No substantive commitments to upgrading those junctions. I keep talking about it. We've had Atkins reports in 2012, Job in 2014, Atkins 2016. We've had a WSP transport report, and now we've got another Atkins report, which is they've just started work on. So a whole litany of failings of delivery of key infrastructure. We all know in this town that those 2 junctions are keys, and it's the gateway into the north. You've only got to look at, if you put the oval, your slide showing the Crawley Down housing, I thought was very, very pertinent, because it's worth mentioning that the developments numbers that have been completed since our 2016 adoption of our neighbourhood plan. Hill Place Farm, 200 units, because they're all built, not necessarily occupied. Crawley Down Road, that whole ribbon up there, around about 250. We've had flats converted into offices in the town of about 500 flats. The old convent, 75 units, and the Barrett's Holteye Road, 200. So about 1,250 units since 2016. And we've got SA19 and SA20 coming in. Now, the district council, proudly, and I've been in many years, I've been, 7 years, I've been a district councillor. This document is the infrastructure delivery plan, which is part of the district plan adopted in 2018, part of the site allocation document adopted in 2022. Okay, and this is the breakdown for this site SA20, which totals in 2019 around about £14 million of infrastructure upgrades. Now, as part of this planning application, no details of the Section 106 agreement as currently discussed, the position between the applicant and the Sussex District Council have been supplied. As a ward councillor, I have asked for those details recently, because this application will go to the District Council Planning Committee, which Councillor Peacock and I sit on from this town council as district councillors, and that document is key, because at the moment we don't know what financial contributions are there, what's been negotiated in any way. So without that information, I'm not in a position to support an approval this evening, and certainly not in a position to support approval this evening, given the complete intransigence of the district council still on agreeing to or even negotiating part our town council planning policy position statement. So overall, this scheme's got lots of benefits. The town does need housing, and there's a lot of good infrastructure upgrades here. But until those two key pieces of information and progress are made, I'm afraid I'm going to have to recommend refusal, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. That was really excellent summary, Councillor Whittaker. I will second that proposal. We'll open it up to committee members to voice their opinions. Councillor Mrs. Belson.
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Councillor Whittaker. We could be there, keep repeating some. You've actually put so much on it. I just really wanted to say how much I agree with it, because we've got three junctions here, the Northern Line, Lane, Heathcote, Crawley Down, and the Lane itself. They're just key to the whole thing. Yes, I agree the sports facilities would be great. There's lots of things. I would say that we do need a doctor's surgery there with the position in the town. All that Councillor Whittaker has said, and about the sports, it would all be great. But without that infrastructure, I would support refusal of the application.
Thank you.
I agree. I mean, there's many merits in actual sports facilities and what they're providing, but as Councillor Belsley said, very eloquently put by Councillor Whittaker, many will know my family is behind the job reports. That was 10 years ago, nearly now, and we need to know the detail and we need to know the funding available. So we're not in that position. So I would agree with Councillor Whittaker, Councillor Belsley.
Thank you. Thank you. Councillor Scott.
Just to agree with everybody so far. Boring, I just think I agree with everybody. The impact that's going to have on our town's facilities as dentist doctors, it's just unbelievable. And it's going to put a huge impact on an already affected area. I mean, 550 units could bring between 750 and 800 cars. It could, quite easily. 150 dwelling care home. People have got to go and see those people in those places. Cars, 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 cars. Primary school. It's not like a secondary school. The child walks to school. Cars. We are absolutely impacted on these junctions that we know are problematic. Now, as Councillor Whittaker said, and I totally endorse, we've known an awful long time of this development. Why on earth wasn't this infrastructure done long ago to compensate for what could be coming forward in the future? They should have been done a long, long time ago. It's a bit stable of a horse, isn't it, with the stable door now? But I can't support this as it is at the moment. The sports is fantastic, don't get me wrong, and it's great to have the sports. And that's not the problem. The problem is the infrastructure and the impact it's going to have on our town, doctors and dentists alike.
Yep, thank you.
But there must be a way around it. We need to find a way around it, and someone does.
Yes, absolutely. Would anybody else like to question?
So I'm not going to go over the traffic at that particular point. I think we all recognise that. Just a couple of things just linked to that. Firstly, it's just the point that we've mentioned, but just to call out, there were previously two access points. If you go back or can zoom out, it's now by the care home right at the bottom, and basically you have to drive all that way to get to the houses. So point one. I actually personally, they would still need to, as we've all said, improve the junction, but I actually quite preferred the two entry points and would have thought that maybe having it left turn only from the top way, so you send traffic one direction and right exit only at the bottom to try and at least alleviate that junction, would be something I would sort of ask the developer and our Mid Sussex planning inspectors to have a look at. Also, I couldn't see, and I was just checking a moment ago, I don't think they were proposing to put any money in to improve that bridge. It's a single lane bridge. So we're now saying we've got one entry and exit point right by a bridge, which is a single lane. Now, was it so? Because yeah, I see the lovely roundabout picture, but it doesn't show, and I don't think it extends to where the bridge is, unless we see. So again, I'll just ask the question: how is that even feasible?
Yeah, the bridge is literally about there.
Here, and it's funny how that seems to. And again, maybe they have, but I certainly couldn't see it when I looked for it. So that would be on addition to that. In addition, on the car parking, not only car parking for the sports facility, I think there's only 20 car parking spaces at the SANG. So again, if we want this, and I granted, and I'm fully supportive of alternative modes of travel, but let's be realistic, a lot of people, maybe from Crawley down, etc., may not be able to cycle there in a way that they feel safe, and that's something I know we're looking at through other committees. But again, I think there's only 20 spaces there, and I do wonder again if there's this massive open space, how people are going to park to go there. And linked to that, we should be encouraging alternative modes of transport. And I didn't see anything in the plan around cycle parks or bays for that, not just only in one place, but again at various points on the SANG as well. So I didn't see that, and maybe that was in a detailed plan. I didn't get to all 215 documents, but it didn't seem to be apparent. So that would be one other. Then I'm into similar to the section 106. I was very conscious. I went to the 9 Morton Road, and one of the planning applications at district that came afterwards was a development of a site that had got section 106 money for development of a health centre. But due to the way the section 106 agreement had been constructed, basically meant that it was only the site, the land, and none of the funding to build on it. And because they couldn't then get the funding, it's now being turned into, I think it was flats or apartments. I would strongly recommend that we as a council ensure through our district colleagues that that does not happen. And I also understand that could well happen also to the houses being built or have been built at Copthorne, same situation. So in here it talks about land for a 2-form primary school with commitment from West Sussex. Things change, funding changes. I want to cast iron guarantee that land will only be used for a school or some other community building, not in due course to be converted into flats. And similarly for the community, the care, similar situation, just to make sure that if they are being committed for the use of the community, that is exactly what they're used for, not change further down the line. When things do change, we will recognise that changes. So there would be just, I think that's, I've gone through my little list now, so that's everything I'd like to just call this committee's attention to.
Good point. I think I'll mention a couple of things if that's all right, and then if I know that Stephanie's got something to mention as well. Helen, did you want to mention anything, or are you okay?
Only one point really on what Councillor
If you,
said.
yeah, that's fine. John, I don't know if you wanted to mention anything after we've talked about. Okay, so from a committee's perspective, I think really it was a great summary, Rex. Thank you, and thank you everybody for their comments. A very valid point about the reuse of buildings if they're not taken up by a GP or a school. I would say from the highways perspective, the DP21 is quite pertinent in as much as the scheme should avoid severe additional traffic congestion individually or cumulatively, taking account of any proposed mitigation. And the travel plan that I looked at, it was a very conservative numbers that the developer had put numbers in, and everything was very low, and there was no moderate or high implications for the development, which I found astounding actually. As the scheme protects the safety of road users and pedestrians, I'm not convinced it does. In terms of DP26 as well, just to recap, that the development doesn't cause significant harm to the amenities of existing and nearby residents and future occupants and new dwellings, and privacy, outlook and daylight, sunlight and everything, and all of those weighted conditions take into consideration as well. West Sussex County Council, in their transport plan, I thought this was quite interesting, is they put down that they've identified East Grinstead as a challenge from a transport perspective, and I think that's got to be the massive understatement of the year. As we all know, I think that we can definitely see the benefits, but you won't get the sports facilities unless we get the houses. It's not an either or situation here. So I'll open it up to our non-committee member councillors. Stephanie, do you?
Yeah, thank you. I agree entirely with everything I think that's been said so far today. It would be remiss of me not to highlight my concerns with the current access. I think the roundabout really does need to be revisited. I'm very grateful.
Can I stop you there just a moment? You might want to declare.
Oh, yes, you're absolutely right.
Yeah.
I live in Bluebell Close.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay.
No, quite right. I have a unique perspective in that I use that stretch of road 4 times a day, largely on foot, not in my car. So I know it and love it well. I think the roundabout could be substantially improved, which I think we've covered today. I'm very grateful for the mention, Councillor Pond, of the bridge, which I think is noticeably absent from the detailed plans. Not only is it single lane, but it's heavily used by pedestrians. It's also a bridleway. So people routinely walk across the middle of the road. The nature of the layout is that the pedestrian kind of walkways on the left-hand side as you look at it, and the access points of workways on the right. So the only way to do it is to walk across the road, middle of the road. There's no pavement there, so it is a huge problem, and it is not addressed here. The only point I'd like to sort of additionally point out is that we've talked about infrastructure at the Star Junction of a sticky road, but actually Imberhorn Road in its entirety is not really well considered here. I think if you don't mind going sort of zooming back ever so slightly along the plane,
Which
keep going. If you wouldn't mind zooming in a little bit, you can actually see the on the Imberhorn Lane that old school. Yeah, sort of along there. If you look here really closely, you can actually see cars parked down the road next to the opposite the playground. It's a single lane road almost entirely, if we're really honest. It's single lane past the school, it's 20 miles an hour. Then we have traffic calming, and then we go into a single lane bridge, and they haven't made any provision to improve that road as a whole. And I think we can debate where the access goes and traffic in around, but there's no provision here to improve Imberhorn Lane at all. And I think it's been overlooked. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you very much. Would anybody else like to say anything? Councillor Brown?
Thank you, Chair, and the committee speak. Now, wanted to add on to our draft. Those who have to remember that when Welbeck were last presenting to us, this is an 8-year plan from start to finish. And as they start selling them, they did say that their needs might change. So the 5-bedroom houses might become 4-bedroom houses, so you might get more. So this is starting off as a 550 houses and 150 for the care home facilities, which I think is actually over 55 million, I think, rather than a care home per se. You could be ending up, so that's more like our cars. But you're also probably looking at potentially that things will change slightly along that 8-year stretch, and they'll be coming back and changing their plan slightly, reviewing it. So, actually sticking to the principle of saying, let's get it, let's get the road and the infrastructure first, then everything, and then the changes they make on the way won't become, we will be sort of positional to the changes that will need to be addressed over the next 8 years.
Thank you. Good point. Absolutely. Anybody else? Councillor Gibson.
Yeah, maybe I can just sort of find a few points around, sort of all that I've heard in there, really just some. I mean, I've put a lot of effort into understanding the way that this site could be developed and the role contribution that it could make into this. I'll start with the access and just put it in context. Most of us will have driven the Eathy Wood roundabout on the way to the M23. It's of that size and scale, just to actually, if you want to see what this is going to look like. But the main point, so this site was part of the development plan document site allocations, and I'm pleased to say that I got the inspector to actually walk through the sites. So walking from Crawley Down Road down the bridle way. And then along the hard road across and coming out by the Green Machines entrance at the top. The inspector was very focused throughout all the sites he looked at on the access considerations, to the extent that in Crawley Down he made a specific change, one of the few changes that he made, that you could not you were not allowed to knock a house down in order to gain access to the site there. And that has actually so far stopped that development from going forward. The point I would make on that, at no point was he told that the major access would be opposite Bluebell Close. He was briefed very much that the access would be around about at the end of Heathcote Drive. And that there would be 2 access points throughout the site. And I think that what I would say is we cannot know what would have been in the inspector's mind if he had been shown a single access for all the rest of it. So I make that observation just simply that I was surprised. I believe that the change, I was aware of that roundabout design some time ago, but as part of an argument that the land through the school was not a ransom strip. Because a ransom strip would have had enhanced value. That brings me on to the second point, that you notice that the developer has reined back significantly from the contribution that would be made to the possibility of a school move. Finance Director of West Sussex County Council is on the public record that would have to be enabled by a strong contribution from this development, and that development is not there. And certainly I've been party to a number of discussions in which it seems impossible at the moment to get the level of funding in order to enable that move out to Windmill Lane. And I think everybody around this table should agree that Windmill Lane is no longer an ideal building for a school of that type. But I have to say, if you look at all the other things going on in the county at the moment, with the continuing delay at Woodland Mead School and the inability to close the budget on the Beadland School at Ruckley, then the money is just not there for these things. The site in the middle of it. Yes, all over the place, developers allocate land for a primary school, 2 form-entry primary school, and put money in, but they don't build the school. Now, that's up at Heathley Wood, and the problem I have with that, the county are reviewing what the need is for school places. At the present time, the need is to increase the number of secondary school places in the district, and the district that they look at runs from the M23 to the far end of Ashfordwood. So that's all counted as one district, and it's scored within that. At the moment, they are seeing no need to provide extra primary school places, but they are keeping it under review with the large number of new homes which are being built in the area. However, my major problem with it is that if the developer says school in the middle of the site, he is allowed to reduce the traffic emerging from the site at peak times by 80%. And that is a very significant benefit in terms of the traffic which is emerging away from that site and heading down. Well, where will it go? Well, at the moment, the suggestion is that it's going to, a lot of it's going to head over that bridge. And if it's heading west, it's going to go out on the A2011. And the new district plan that's coming forward highlights the eastern arm of the Terrace Hill Crossroads as being the most congested in the district, which is hardly surprising given the Hill Place Farm development, in all honesty. Just quickly, modality. My concern is that modality is struggling at the moment to deliver against the existing population. The work that's being done with the Integrated Care Board is focused on that. There's a very anodyne statement in there about what the NHS is pleased to work with the healthcare, primary healthcare provider, and what that means. It could be anything. I'm a bit concerned about the access to those sports facilities by the communities. Do we have to drive all the way through the site to get there, or the school has access into it, or is the access going to be through the school when it's out of hours? And I think that also is possibly undesirable.
Yeah, I think it goes around the boundary.
Yes, yes. Yes, but the point I'm making is you have to go all the way down the Bluebell Coast, drive into it, and then drive back to the site. for doing that. Yes, I think the sports facilities are absolutely fantastic, absolutely costly. And I think that, you know, so there's millions of pounds worth of sports facilities in there. But we are very lucky to be offered for a development of this scale. I say that with some anger in my voice when I see what the developers are drawing down on their offer to provide for 400 houses up there. I think I'll stop there, Mr. Chairman. As I say, the main thing that I would say is that it seems to me that this council might be minded to ask what the transport modelling looks like if there is no school in the middle of the site, and just to query, you know, sort of what the, you know, sort of the single access, which is different to what the inspector was seeing. So I'll stop at that.
Thank you. Yeah, no, I think Town Clerk's made some notes on that one, so we'll definitely we'll put that in the report. Thank you very much. Just one last question point from.
Sorry, yeah, I forgot to mention it. Just building on that, so I've got it in front of me. Their statement on community involvement, which actually address this. Their modelling currently says total peak residential and care home. So that's both the care home, 550 houses and 120 rooms. They only modelled 261 vehicle trips in AM and PM. So, you know, and how did they do that? And actually, it's not 80%. It is assumed all trips generated by the proposed new primary school will be internalised within the site, internalised. So 100% of trips would be internalised, and 25% of education-based vehicle trips will travel off-site, with the remaining 75% of trips being internalised. So basically expecting pretty much nobody to go anywhere for any educational needs on site. And even if you take that, I still would, you know, that number of people taken with a pinch of salt. And, you know, this is only education, let alone people working, they have to get somewhere. So again, just to add sort of weight to that, you know, that's how they're modelling it. But I think it's a valid point to say, well, where do you get to if you take that out?
Yeah.
Sorry.
No, that's a great point. Great point. Yes, so we've got a proposal for. Oh, sorry, Councillor Belsey.
Oh, thank you very much. It's only just to agree really with all the comments that have been raised, but just a lot of what's been said just comes down to detail, and which we haven't got in front of us yet. But there's a lot of openness, I think, which is quite strong from 550 site application within around this room. And I'm slightly surprised how a few members of the public are actually here this evening. But there's a lot of openness here from the council to want this application to succeed. And so all I'd say is that if the developers watching and listening, just to the comments being made, just to a lot of these things go either way. They can make it good or they could make it disappointing. And if they just listen, then I think they would have a really good idea as to how they could get some improvement. I hope that when it does come forward in detail, it takes all the comments this evening.
Yeah, thank you very much. Councillor.
Thank you. And I would just come back on one point, just again, a context overview for my district council situation. This is a strategic site that's been allocated by the district council. In the last 2 years, 3 or 4 strategic sites have been brought forward within the district of this type of size, all of which have had strategic highways issues. I'll leave them at that. That have been flagged very similarly that we had this evening, and this town council consistently has made. And in my opinion, none of them have been satisfactorily resolved between the district council planning authority and the county council highways authority. Okay. And there's a bad track record that the district council and the county council have got with highways strategic upgrades. That's not good, and that needs to change here.
Absolutely. Yes, thank you. Yeah, I think it's laid a foundation for future dialogue, really. I think really more than anything, and I welcome everybody's comments very much. So we have a vote for approval, which was seconded. So we're all those in favour. Sorry, of refusal. All those in favour. Now that's a slip and a half, isn't it? Sorry, Robert. Vote for refusal. All those in favour of that proposal, please.
That's fine.
Thank you. That is the end of tonight's meeting. Thank you very much, everybody. I'll close the meeting at 8:09.
It's such a shame because actually they sorted out.
What's that? Otherwise I don't want to.
They're literally open to still the tennis club, still the cricket club, and still that saying. And basically,